So developing quality and culturally sensitive mother tongue based multilingual education materials. Now when you swim, when you teach people to swim, you need to bring them into places where there's lots of water. Okay, you cannot teach them to swim in places where there's no water. So in the same way, when we teach new learners or when you teach children how to read and write, we need to have a good supply of materials. They need to be surrounded with lots of books. So students, learners need to have what we call a literature-rich environment. Maybe not just books, but also signages and calendars and other things that they could read. So one of the issues that people ask about mother tongue-based multilingual education is instructional materials, how they are produced. Well, for a sustainable and successful mother tongue-based multilingual education program, there has to be a good amount of supply of culturally sensitive and quality learning materials. In 1985, Professor Bonifacio P. Sibayan, for whom the BPS building was named. Okay, the BPS building is named after Bonifacio P. Sibayan. Now, in 1985, he said some of the problems associated with effective bilingual education among linguistic minorities in the Philippines are related to a lack of reading and instructional materials in the language. So that was in 1985. Now we learned that it's not just some, it's actually most. Most of the problems associated with effective bilingual education among linguistic minorities in the Philippines are related to a lack of reading and instructional materials in the language. Okay, furthermore, the consultants of Lubuagan's first language component, SIL International's Diane Decker and Dr. Catherine Young, observed in 2025 that the availability of appropriate literature and instructional materials is a constraint often identified in the development of a localized curriculum. So when Dr. Decker and Dr. Catherine Young uh, took an effort to work on different language groups in the Philippines for mother tongue based multilingual education, they saw the need for appropriate literature and instructional materials. Okay? Now, in every mother tongue based multilingual education program, there should be a wide corpus. Pag sinabing corpus, when you say corpus, there's a lot of written material. There should be a wide corpus of learning and instructional materials that are of superior quality. I think I already told you why we need to have superior quality when it comes to materials in the mother tongue. So materials that should be appropriate to the intended learners, materials that are culturally sensitive and locally produced, okay, are seen as a major aspect in making the MTBMLE program sustainable. So again, the materials should be culturally sensitive, locally produced, and of superior quality. Otherwise, if it's not superior quality, students might accept the fact that they are inferior also to Filipino speakers and to English speakers. Okay? So the major consideration in the development of learning materials is the intended learners. Okay? Knowledge about the learners is of paramount importance in the beginning stages. You need to understand You need to have knowledge about the learners. So, three of the most important questions to answer regarding the intended learners are: number one, are the interests and needs of the intended learners being addressed? Okay, are the interests and needs of the intended learners being addressed, or is it the interest of the higher officers, like the government, are the ones being considered or addressed? It should be the interests and needs of the intended learners that should be addressed. Okay. Also, are their growing abilities and skills being enhanced? So another primary consideration is enhancement of the abilities and skills of students to the materials, enhance the growing abilities and skills of students, and are their learning goals being dealt with? So whose goal are we trying to accomplish? The goals of the elite, the goals of the major corporations, the ones who are big businesses, or is it the interest of the learners themselves? It's very important that we take primary consideration, take into primary consideration the goals of the learners for their learning. Now, the Council for the Welfare of Children, in their 1999 report, stated that schools must change to serve the Filipino child. Locally developed learning materials using vernacular language are suggested in order to maintain pupils' interest in the curriculum. So, as early as 1999, there's already a prescription. There's already a prescription for Filipino children to have materials using the vernacular language, the language they're most familiar with. Okay, now Diane Decker and Catherine Young also assert that this would serve to build the children's perception of the value of their language. It will increase their self-esteem and promote continuing involvement in the education process. If they have materials that are culturally appropriate and of good quality and takes their goals into consideration. So when that happens, the children's perception of the value of their language will increase, and also their self-esteem will also increase. Materials should display culturally, linguistic, and contextual clues that the learners are familiar with. And then you use them as a bridge to discover and learn unknown ideas and concepts. Okay, so the concept of learning the known to the unknown is important. Okay, it is important that we start with what the learners know and build on what they know. Okay, valuing the culture and language of the learner, therefore, are of primary consideration. So it's of primary consideration to value the culture and language of the learner. Okay, so the material should start with what is known, and then after that, you go to the unknown. So that's very important teaching consideration. You start with what they know, what is known, and later on, you introduce what is unknown. So, another consideration in materials development is the availability or the lack of graded reading materials in the local language. If there's an ample supply of mother tongue graded reading materials, this will assist the learners achieve reading fluency and comprehension in their mother tongue. So uh, there should be ample supply of mother tongue graded reading materials. It's graded meaning you can specify, you can see for which level are is a particular material. Okay, so there should be a good supply of mother tongue graded reading materials. When you have that, that will assist the learners in achieving fluency in their reading because they have so many things to read. They end up practicing a lot. Okay, so when they read, they develop fluency, meaning they can read through without stopping. And then it's also important that they have comprehension of what they're reading. Okay. Now, when that happens, it will help them transfer what they have learned about the reading and writing into Filipino and English. So they first need to develop the skills, particularly of reading in their first language. And when they have those skills, they can transfer the use of those skills when they read Filipino and even English texts. Okay? So notice, I'm sure you know that different learners are at different stages. Thus, they have different needs. The needs of learners at this level are different from the needs of those students at that level. Okay? So materials are at their best when they are created for a specific purpose, answering the growing needs and interests of the learners. Okay, so the materials that should be created or produced should uh, have a specific purpose. Okay, when you produce materials, they should have a specific purpose. The content and level of difficulty are also important. Okay, so it's essential that materials are developed based on the learner's interests, needs, and goals. So everything, okay, should be based on the learner's interests, needs, and goals. Okay, so I hope you understand that the availability of appropriate materials are of is of primary consideration. Otherwise, uh, students will be stuck at a particular level. So again, the amount of materials that are specific to a particular learner should be in ample supply so that they can practice reading and it would benefit them. Okay. So according to Dr. Susan Malone, who's the International Literacy and Education Consultant for SIL, according to her, as the learners achieve their learning goals and gain confidence in their own abilities, they become the best resources for sustaining their community's education program. It's the learners who are confident and who are achieving their learning goals they're the ones who are the best resources for sustaining the community's education program. So even if you have good personnel from outside, if the learners themselves do not appreciate the program, so your what will happen is your program will be hampered. So you need to make sure that uh, learners are able to achieve their learning goals and they have confidence in their own abilities. Okay, so that's why the learners themselves must be the focus of the plans, and also the learner should also participate in the planning process. Okay, the learners themselves are therefore very important in the development of quality learning materials. So the learners, they serve as the ruler for us to measure whether what we are doing is correct or not. They are the peg. Okay, it's the learners who are the peg. It's around them that the education system revolves. Okay, So this happens when the learners are able to achieve their learning goals and they gain confidence in their skills. So when that happens, the learners become the most important resource in an education system. Let's talk about the stages of literature production for mother tongue speakers beginning in the first language. So when producing and developing learning materials for beginning learners, we need to consider that learners are at different stages. So our planning is not something that's one size fits all. We need to understand that learners are at different stages of their learning. And we need to provide the appropriate materials and teaching for that particular stage of learning. Okay? So stage one is when they are beginning to read. Stage two is when they gain fluency. These are both in the first language, okay? And then in stage three, they become even more fluent, okay? And it's at stage three because they're already quite fluent in reading. That's the time that it serves as a bridge for the fourth stage, which is being able to read in the first and second language for lifelong learning. So stage four is the part where the student is able to use the language for lifelong learning. Okay, by the way, class, that term lifelong learning has been around for like 20 years at least. Okay, it's only now that PNU is discovering that, but lifelong learning has been an important trend in education for a long time. Now, that cannot happen in the case of cultural minorities unless they have gained fluency in their own language. And when you have such fluency, all the skills related to fluency, they are the ones that serve as a bridge for learning the other language. Okay, and when that happens, uh, they would be able to use their reading skills for lifelong learning. Okay, when they're able to bridge from the first language to the second language, that's the time that they would be capable of lifelong reading in the first language and maybe and even in the second language. Okay, so let's talk about stages of literature production for mother tongue speakers beginning in their first language. So at stage one, the literature for learners is something that is tailored for learners who are just beginning to read. Okay, at stage two, you have literature for learners who are becoming fluent readers. So medyo fluent na sila. And then at stage three, there should be literature for those who want to transfer from the first language to the second language or from the second language to the first language. So there should be a good supply of literature for those who want to transfer from their first to the second language or going back from from their second language to their first language. Okay? So we are talking about literature production for mother tongue speakers, and there's the images and the material itself should be culturally appropriate. It does not disparage the culture, nor does it end up making learners think that their language is actually uh, inferior to that of the other languages. Okay, I made my presentation larger for me to read. Okay. So I have stage one. This is the part where the learners are learning to read. In stage two, they are gaining fluency. Natututo na sila. In stage three, there's a bridging. Okay. Using the skills developed for reading in the first language, that's the time that you apply those skills for learning language, for reading in another language. And that will continue on and as long as you live. Okay. Then for stage four, this is when readers need to have literature in their first and second language that is relevant to their lives. So this is the time when they start reading the Bible in their own language or in another language. Okay, because they have literature that is relevant to their needs. Okay, and then stage four, materials still support their language and culture. It's not something that disparages or undermines their own language and culture. Stage four materials also help learners learn about the world outside their community. So, needless to say, this is the time that they are exposed to literature in another language. Okay, so when they are familiar with that other language, they are able to learn about the world outside their community. Now, stage four literature are also literature that contain information and ideas that they want, ideas, information that are useful for their everyday life. Okay, and stage four materials also encourage them to be actively involved in the affairs of their community and nation. So that's the time that the materials are really real life materials. They're no longer just teaching materials, but stage four materials are real world materials that enable learners to know about the world outside of their community. Uh, These are books and reading materials that encourage learners to be actively involved in the affairs of their community and even in their nation. And yet, these kinds of these stage four materials are still supportive of the language and culture of those particular group of learners. Okay. Many of the observations in our school system is that we are very concerned of the accuracy part. Remember, class, we have accuracy and fluency, accuracy and meaning part. So we have accuracy and we have meaning part. Okay. Most of the time, we easily notice if the learners pronounce the words correctly or spelled it correctly, or if the handwriting is good and straight, or if the grammar is correct. We are too accurate sometimes that we neglect the meaning part. So the classic example of this class is in the case of the island of Cagayan Silio. Doon sa Cagayan Silio, yung mga bata, yung mga tao, nagbabasa sila ng mga signages in their own language. Nababasa nila ng tama, pero wala silang nakukuhang meaning mula dun sa binasa nila. Binasa lang nila. Wala silang nakuhang instruction, wala silang nakuhang information to sa binasa nila. Basta nagbasa lang sila. Okay? So it's like you're asking somebody to pronounce this. Okay? I wonder if any of you can pronounce this. Meron ba sa inyo makapag-pronounce nito? Meron ba? I wonder kung merong makakabasa nito.
Prof, pwede pong itry.
Sige nga.
French po to, di ba po?
Yes.
Répondez s'il vous plaît. Vous.
Paparinig ko sa iyo kung paano sa inyo kung paano i-pronounce, ha? Share ko ito.
Can you answer, please? Répondez. Répondez, meaning answer, as an order. Répondez, s'il vous plaît. S'il vous plaît is, of course, please. Répondez, s'il vous plaît. Or,
Okay, Rapunday. Rapunday. S'il vous plaît. Okay? Rapunday. So, tinuro ko na sa inyo kung paano i-pronounce. Pero, tinuro ko sa inyo kung paano i-pronounce. Pero, ang problema, may S dapat yan. Ewan ko bakit nung sa ano wala ring S. Rapunday, s'il vous plaît. Rapunday, s'il vous plaît. So, alam na natin kung paano i-pronounce, ano? And sa school, sa maraming schools, ang emphasis yung tamang pronunciation. Pero dahil tapos yung tamang grammar, tamang spelling, ang problema, hindi na alam yung meaning. Kagaya nga nun doon sa Cagayan Silio Island, na marunong lang silang bumasa pero wala silang napupulot na meaning. Okay? So kagaya nito, Rapunday, s'il vous plaît. So alam niyo na yung pronunciation, pero alam niyo ba kung ano ang meaning? Kasi hindi ko sinabi sa inyo kung ano ibig sabihin nito. No, tinuro ko lang yung pronunciation, tinuro ko lang yung tamang spelling, pero hindi niyo napulot kung ano ang meaning. Ano ang meaning niyan? Sumagot ka sa anumang paraan. Please respond. Yun lang ang sinasabi niya. Yung s'il vous plaît, yun yung please. Rapunday, yung Rapunday, yun yung response. So, please respond. Ganun lang yung sinasabi niya. Okay? Now, pag ang emphasis masyado ay sa pronunciation, sa accuracy, minsan yung meaning nakakalimutan na. Okay? Nakakalimutan na yung meaning. So, a quality language education program uses a balanced teaching methodology. Nakabalance yung meaning at accuracy. Pinahalagahan yung pagtuturo ng meaning, pinahalagahan din yung pagtuturo ng accuracy. Okay? Now, when you do this, when you have a balanced methodology, this helps the learner achieve the essential skills of listening, speaking, reading, and writing, or what we call macro skills. Okay? So, hindi tama na puro pronunciation lang, puro spelling lang, puro correct grammar lang. Ganyan ang naging emphasis nung early 1970s sa audiolingual method. I'm sure narinig nyo na yung audiolingual method. Ang problema doon, yung form ang naging emphasis. Hindi na napahalagahan yung meaning. Like yung, I'm going to the mall. I'm going to the clinic. I'm going to the city hall. So yung mga ganon, hindi naman meaningful. Okay? Kaya hindi na nagagamit ng mga bata yung language for meaningful purposes. So marunong sila magsalita, mag-pronounce, mag-spell, pero hindi sila nakakakuha ng meaning at hindi na nagagamit for meaningful uses. Okay? So, naalala nyo ito, the two-track method? Ano? Yung meaning track, na-achieve yan, nakukuha yan sa magitan ng storytelling. So, yung meaning track, pag in-apply mo na siya sa isang paraan ng pagtuturo, na-achieve yan, nakukuha yung meaning sa magitan ng pagbibigay ng kwento. Okay? So, we employ the true track method. You have the story track, which is supportive of the meaning track. Then you also have the primer track, the primer track. Do sa primer track, meron kang workbook na sagot ng sagot yung mga bata, pero ang emphasis doon ay accuracy, tamang spelling, tamang pronunciation. Okay, so ang emphasis dyan is accuracy and correctness. Samantalang doon sa story track, ang emphasis ay yung whole language. So again, we make sure that we have a balanced approach. Merong story track supportive of the meaning, and we have the primer track supportive of accuracy. Okay? Dun sa story track, it's the whole language that's concerned. Dun sa primer track, concerned ka lang sa specific vowel, specific sound, specific pronunciation. Yun ang word of the day, yun ang sound of the day, yun ang letter of the day. So part of the language lang ang focus mo. Pero dun sa story track, you're using the whole language. Okay? So, sa story track, isang ang mga paraan para ma-improve ang pag-derive ng meaning mula sa mga binabasa nila, merong shared reading, nagbabasa kayo ng sabay-sabay, merong experience story, okay, and then merong listening story and reading alone. Pag-aaralan natin later on yung mga yan. And then later on, maybe at the higher levels, merong creative writing. Magsusulat ka ng kwento mo. Yan yung emphasis niyan is to use mean language for meaning, for real world uses. And then, kailangan mo rin ng accuracy. Kasi pag hindi ka accurate, nagkakagulo syempre. So, doon naman sa primer track, yung mga pag-aaralan natin, yung picture and keyword, yung big box, yung sentence making, at yung spelling and the handwriting. So far, we're talking about the importance of materials that are culturally appropriate. It should be appropriate for the learner's needs, goals, and desires. We talked about different stages of materials. We classified materials into stage 1, 2, 3, and 4. Okay. We also talked about the importance of having a lot of materials to read in the mother tongue. Okay, and we also talked about the idea of making use of what is known to introduce the unknown. Okay, so I hope you could rewatch this recording. Okay, later on. Let's now talk about different types of materials. We have, for example, pictures and posters. Here, pictures and posters are used for developing the understanding that pictures can be used to convey meaning. Okay, that pictures, students as learners need to understand that pictures and posters can be used for deriving meaning. Okay, then we also have theme pictures. Okay, theme pictures are learning materials that emphasize meaning also. So this builds critical thinking by allowing the learners to be inquisitive, to think critically, and be creative. Okay, so the theme picture presents facts and information, and then when you use it for teaching, you teach students to observe. Ano nakikita nyo sa litrato? And then you have discussion. Napapaisip sila, ay, ano kaya to? Now, pwede ka rin gumawa ng kwento sa team na to. May theme picture ka, gagawa ka ng kwento. Kailangan niya ng ganito, kailangan niya lumipat ng lugar kasi para mas malapit doon sa pinagtatrabahuhan niya, doon sa pinagkukuhanan niya ng kabuhayan niya. Kaya nagtulong-tulong yung mga kakapitbahay para maglipat ng bahay or something like that. Okay? So that's the idea of the theme picture. You have facts, information, You teach students to do observation, and then you have discussion regarding what is in the picture. So you have thinking and talking, and it allows students to be inquisitive. Ano kaya yung meron doon? And even being creative by making up a story. Okay? Then you also have what we call a picture series, yung sunod-sunod na pictures. Sunod-sunod na picture. So it's a set of individual pictures for facts, information. Or it could be a set of imaginary pictures for storytelling. And here's an example, ano? Going to the market. So pwede kang gumawa ng story. Nakita niya 11 o'clock na, wala pa silang pagkain. Tapos tiningnan niya doon sa lugar, walang pagkain. Kaya ang ginawa niya, inihanda niya yung basket niya, sumakay siya sa bisikleta at namili sa market. Bumili siya ng bigas, bumili siya ng kamote, tapos nagbayad siya, dinala niya sa bahay. Okay, of course, you should use culturally appropriate pictures. So kung dun sa community, hindi sila gumagamit ng bisikleta, dapat huwag kang gagamit ng bisikleta. Huwag mo isasama yung bisikleta. Kasi baka dun sa community nila, hindi sila nagbibisikleta eh. Pati yung lalagyan nila, ng magamit, kailangan culturally appropriate din. Okay? Actually, dito, meron siya nakitang pusang itim, baka superstitious yung mga tao, pag nakakita silang pusang itim, meron silang pamahiin doon, huwag mo na isama yung pusa. Okay? Then you also have a picture chart. So ito, familiar kayo nito, marami nito sa elementary. It's for facts and information. Okay? Then you also have big books and small books. So pansin nyo, merong mga big book. Gumawa na ba kayo ng big book sa isang sa isang subject niyo? Sa subject kayo gumawa ng big book? Ano ba? Akala ko gumawa, hindi pa gumagawa. Okay? May Cabalejo sa Filipino pala, gumawa na kayo ng big book, ano? Pinagawa kayo ng big book sa pagtuturo ng Filipino. Sa lower level yan, ano? So medyo sanay na kayo kasi pag gagawin ko kayo ng big book, pag gagawin ko kayo ng small book, pag gagawin ko rin kayo ng pre-primer at ng primer. So primer, pre-primer, big book at small book. Yun ang mga gagawin ninyo. So inaayos ko pa yung what you call this, yung requirement. So kung na kasi mag what you call this, mag face to face, Pakita ko sa inyo yung ayan, ewan ko kung nakikita nyo to. Ay, hindi nakikita. Nakikita, wait, tatanggalin ko yung Tanggalin ko yung background ko. Background. Tanggalin yung background. Paano ito yung tanggal ng background? Ano tinatanggal? Ayan. Ayan. So, meron ditong book ako na ipapakita ko sana sa inyo. Ito yung pre-primer. Sayang, mapakita ko sana sa inyo nung ito pala yung primer. Ito yung pre-primer. Ayan. Pagka nagkita na tayo, yan, mapapakita ko na sa inyo. Anyway. Okay. And then, bakit tayo merong big book? Bakit tayo mayroong big book? Ano? Why do we use big books? First, to help students understand that reading has to make sense and it has to have meaning. Hindi lang tayo nagbabasa para magsalita, kundi may meaning ka na madederive, may makukuha kang kahulugan doon sa binabasa mo. Kailangan maintindihan ng mga estudyante yan. Ano, lalo na sa mga minority areas na hindi exposed sa mga aklat. Okay? And then, it's actually a fun way of introducing beginning readers and writers to the way spoken language looks and sounds when it is written down. So, na-expose sila na, ganito pala ang written language. May meaning pala to. May pakinabang pala ito. Okay? So, big books can be read many times so children can develop the concept of a story. So, paulit-ulit natututo na meron palang concept ng story na written down. Okay? And students can be introduced to the idea of plot, character, setting, and theme. Okay? Natututunan nila yung idea ng theme, ng setting, ng character, ng plot. Pag sinabing theme, tungkol saan ba yung kwento? Ay, tungkol sa pangingisda. Yan, mga ganyang bagay. And then, students can learn new vocabulary and grammar from well-written stories. So, merong incidental learning, ano? Na natututo ng vocabulary at grammar. So, we learn grammar through meaning. We do not learn grammar through form. Hindi audiolingualism, ano? We learn grammar from meaningful use of language. Okay. So, as the learners develop these skills, they can read longer and even more complex sentences. And big books and small books emphasize meaning. They're meant for critical thinking. So, napapa-critical thinking. Hindi kagaya ng critical thinking ng level ninyo, syempre. Pero critical thinking at their level. Napapaisip na, bakit kaya siya pumunta dito? Para, so nagkakaroon na ng cause and effect, which is critical thinking. Okay? So, yung big book at saka small book, pareho lang ng content yan. Ang pinagkaiba lang, yung big book, ginagamit sa maramihang bata sa buong klase. Yung small book, more on one-on-one siya. Okay? So, notice, do sa left page, may illustration. Sa right page, mayroong text. You have short, simple sentences. You have lots of repetition, and it's predictable. Class, pansin nyo dapat, kung ano yung nasa litrato, sa picture, yun lang ang nasa teksto. Walang nasa teksto na walang nasa picture. Kung ano yung nasa picture, yun lang ang nasa teksto. At kung ano yung nasa teksto, yun lang ang nasa picture. So, napakasimple ng picture, napakasimple ng sentence. Kung ano yung meron doon sa isa, yun ang meron sa isa. Wala nang higit, walang labis, walang kulang. Okay? So, ganun pag big book. Kung ano yung meron doon sa isa, yun ang meron lang sa isa. Okay. Okay. So sometimes you have a case where you have one page with illustration and text. Yung nasa taas, yung illustration, nasa baba, yun ang text. Ano? Pero mas useful yan sa mga small books. Okay, so sometimes you have longer sentences. Then you have a listening story. So para saan ang listening story? Okay. Purpose, isa sa mga purpose ng listening story is students will be able to hear interesting and culturally appropriate stories. Okay? Read and not told. So makakarinig sila pero itong mga stories na ito binasa, hindi kinuwento. Binasa mula sa libro at hindi kinuwento. Then, students will have the opportunity to think about and talk about characters. Napapaisip sila sa mga characters, ideas, events, napapaisip sila sa mga ideas at sa kung anong nangyari. And then, napapaisip sila dun sa mga actions. Ano? And pwede yan para sa mga printed stories, sa poems, sa songs, at saka yung mga text na nandun doon. Okay? So, notice, this is not about telling a story. This is about reading a story. Okay? That's why you have what is called a listening story. Okay? So hopefully, yung mga teachers makapag-produce ng sarili lang reading resources early. By the way, sinong teacher niyo sa Teaching Filipino?
Si Prof. Kaluweng po.
Si Prof. Kaluweng, ayan. Ano rin yan? What do you call this? Advocate din yan ng MTB-MLE. Okay? Advocate din si Prof. Kaluweng na MTB-MLE. Okay. So here's a characteristic of the listening story. It should be readable in 5 minutes. Maikli lang, ano? It's about the theme of the week, connected siya sa tema. And it's from the students' culture and community. At this level, kasi nga, you start with what is known. Diba? Pwede ka magkwento ng mga kakaibang kwento na at later stages. Siguro mga grade 5, grade 6 na. Or maybe grade 4. Okay? Pero sa level ng ganitong, ng beginning readers, dapat yung mga naririnig lang, something na familiar na sa kanila. So, something known to the unknown. Okay? And class, syempre alam nyo, it should be interesting. Bakit hindi dapat boring? Kasi kapag boring, ma-associate ng mga bata ang pag-aaral sa boredom. So, alam niyo yung nanay ko noon, napansin ko, pag yung napapansin niya na inaantok na ako, hindi niya na tinutuloy yung reading lesson namin. Kasi teacher din ng nanay ko dati. Ano? Tinuturuan niya ako, pero napapansin niya, pag yung nabobore na ako or napapagod na ako, hindi niya na pinipilit. At a young age, nung batang-bata pa ako, nung kinder, grade 1, grade 2. But of course, later on, wala nang pakialam yung nanay ko sa akin. Nag-aral na lang ako mag-isa. Okay, pero dapat interesting. Kasi pag hindi interesting, hindi masyado motivated yung mga bata mag-aral. Plus, na-associate nila yung mga educational activities as something boring. Ayan. Kaya dapat iwasan natin na mabore yung mga estudyante sa class natin or yung mapagod sila. At a young level, ha? Siyempre, grade 5, grade 6, sinuturuan na rin natin silang maging matyaga. Pero sa kinder, grade 1, grade 2, ayan, dapat interesting talaga. Okay? And of course, you use language that the children can understand. Okay? Kasi nga, nagsisilbing scaffold yung first language. Yung first language ang ginagamit mong bridge para sa reading. Kaya hindi tayo nagtuturo ng reading sa English or Filipino kasi yung mga bata hindi sila pamilyar sa English at Filipino. Hindi kagaya sa lungsod na sobrang immersed yung mga bata sa English at saka Filipino. Okay? So natuto silang magbasa ng English, magbasa ng Filipino on their own kasi maraming nakatambak na libro na nababasa-basa nila, maraming signboard na nababasa na hindi ganyan sa mga rural areas, doon sa mga settings sa MTB-MLE.